Welcome to the Shifting Inward podcast, where we explore the mindset blocks that keep entrepreneurs stuck. Your mind is one of the most powerful tools at your disposal, and your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions drive your success. When you shift what's happening internally, everything externally starts to move. Hi, I'm Joe Rizk, and in this episode, we're discussing intuition-preneurship, how to develop and trust your business intuition. So let's get into it. Intuition-preneurship is my term for trusting your inner knowing as an entrepreneur. It's basically combining the words intuition and entrepreneur. It's the ability to make decisions based on what feels right alongside or sometimes instead of relying solely on data, metrics, and expert advice. As an entrepreneur, you're constantly making decisions: what to build, who to work with, when to pivot, how to price. And there are two ways to make those decisions: externally and internally. External decision making relies on data, metrics, case studies, frameworks, expert opinions. It's logical, it's measurable, it's what you can defend with evidence. Contrast that with internal decision making, which relies on intuition, on gut feelings, on that quiet voice inside that says, "This feels right," or "Something's off here." It's harder to defend, it's harder to measure, but it's often more accurate than any spreadsheet. The problem is, most entrepreneurs don't trust their intuition. They second guess it, they override it, they wait for external validation before they move. And in doing so, they disconnect from one of the most powerful tools they have. Intuition isn't some vague, unreliable feeling. It's pattern recognition. It's your subconscious processing information faster than your conscious mind can articulate. It's the accumulation of your experience, your values, and your instincts distilled into a feeling. But because you can't see it on a dashboard or justify it in a business plan, you ignore it. And that costs you clarity, speed, and alignment. So, what does it look like when you don't trust your intuition? How does it actually show up? Maybe you ignore that gut feeling that tells you something's off with a client. The metrics look good, the project seems solid on paper, but something doesn't sit right. You override that feeling, take the project anyway, and 3 months later, you're dealing with exactly the red flags that your gut warned you about. Or maybe you second guess every decision you make. You have an idea for an offer. It feels right, it excites you, but instead of moving forward, you poll your audience, ask your mentor, look for case studies, search for validation. And by the time you've gathered enough external proof, the momentum is gone. Here's a big one. You rely heavily on data and miss what the data can't tell you. You're tracking clicks, conversions, engagement, but you're not asking yourself, does this feel aligned? Am I building something that I actually want? Is this the direction I want to go? The numbers might say yes, but your gut says no. You keep pushing anyway and moving forward. Or maybe you outsource your decision making entirely. You hire a coach, buy a course, follow a framework, and you do exactly what they tell you, even if it doesn't feel right for your specific business. You assume they know better than you. You lose trust in your own judgment in the process. Maybe you've been burned before. You trusted your gut, made a decision, it didn't work out. So now you don't trust yourself as much. You think, my intuition was wrong before, why would it be right now? And you shut it down completely. But here's what's happening over time. You become disconnected from yourself. You're constantly looking outside for answers, to experts, to data, to other people's success stories, and you forget that you have an internal compass, that you know more than you think you do, that your gut has been guiding you all along. You've just stopped listening. So why don't entrepreneurs trust their intuition? A lot of it comes from how we were conditioned. From a young age, we were taught to value logic over feeling, to show your work, to justify your answers, to rely on evidence, not instinct. So by the time you're an adult running a business, the idea of making a decision based on it just feels right seems irresponsible, reckless even, like you're not being a serious entrepreneur. There's also this: entrepreneurship has no rule book, no clear path, no guaranteed formula. And that uncertainty is deeply uncomfortable. So you look for external certainty. You look for data that tells you what to do. You look for experts who have the answers. Because trusting yourself when you don't have proof feels too risky. And here's another layer: you've been wrong before. You trusted your gut, made a decision, and it didn't turn out exactly the way you hoped. Maybe you launched something that flopped. Maybe you hired someone who didn't work out. Maybe you invested in something that was a waste. And now your brain uses that as evidence. It says, see, your intuition can't be trusted. But here's the truth: your intuition wasn't wrong. Your interpretation might have been wrong, or the timing may have been off, or maybe external circumstances changed. But that doesn't mean your gut is unreliable. It means you're learning to distinguish between intuition and fear, between a gut feeling and wishful thinking. There's also imposter syndrome at play. You don't trust yourself because you don't feel qualified. You think, who am I to trust my gut when there are people with more experience, more success, and more data? So you defer to them. You assume they know better and you undermine your own inner knowing. And finally, there's this: society rewards measurable success. You can't put trusted my intuition on a report. You can't show a gut feeling to investors. You can't defend a decision by saying, it just felt right. So you learn to prioritize what's measurable over what's true, and your intuition gets quieter and quieter. But here's what you need to understand: data tells you what happened, intuition tells you what could happen. Data is backward looking, intuition is forward looking. And the entrepreneurs who build something truly aligned, they use both. So let's reframe this. Your intuition isn't something mystical that you either have or don't. It's a skill. And like any skill, it gets stronger the more you use it and the more you trust it. Here's the shift: intuition isn't the opposite of logic. It's a different kind of intelligence. Your gut is processing information your conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. It's reading patterns, noticing inconsistencies, sensing misalignment. And when you ignore it, you're ignoring valuable data. Another shift: trusting your intuition doesn't mean ignoring data. It means integrating both. Use data to inform your decisions, but don't let data override what you know to be true in your gut. The best decisions happen when logic and intuition are working together and not competing. And here's the truth about being wrong in the past: that doesn't mean your intuition failed you. It means you're learning to refine it. You're learning to distinguish between fear and intuition, between ego and inner knowing, between what you want to be true and what actually is true. That's not failure, that's development. Here's another reframe: you don't need external validation to trust yourself. You don't need a mentor to confirm it. You don't need data to back it up. You don't need permission. If something feels right, that's enough. And if something feels off, that's enough as well. Your inner knowing is valid. And here's what most people don't realize: the more you override your intuition, the quieter it gets. The more you second guess it, the harder it becomes to hear. But the more you honor it, even in small ways, the louder and clearer it becomes. Trusting your gut is a muscle, and you build it by using it. So stop asking, can I trust this feeling? And start asking, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Because your intuition isn't trying to mislead you, it's trying to guide you. You just have to be willing to listen. So how do you actually start to build trust in your intuition? First, start small. You don't have to make a massive business decision based on your gut feeling. Practice with low stakes choices, like which email subject feels better or which content idea excites you more. You're training yourself to listen. Second, create space for reflection. Intuition can't be heard in the noise, it shows up in the quiet. So build time into your routine when you're not consuming, not multitasking, not rushing. Maybe take a walk without your phone, or sit in silence. Journal without an agenda. Let your mind settle. That's when intuition speaks. Third, learn to distinguish between fear and intuition. Fear says, don't do this because something bad might happen. Intuition says, this doesn't feel right. Fear is loud, urgent, reactive. Intuition is calm, quiet, and steady. When you're making a decision, pause. Ask yourself, is this fear talking or is this my gut? The answer will feel different in your body. Fourth, track when your intuition was actually right. Maybe write a log. Write down moments when you had a gut feeling and followed it, and what happened after that. Write down moments when you had a gut feeling and ignored it. What happened after that? Over time, you'll build evidence that your intuition is actually reliable, and that evidence will make it easier to trust. Fifth, stop asking everyone else what you should do. It's fine to gather input, but if you're constantly polling people before making a decision, you're training yourself not to trust your own judgment. Make a practice of deciding first, then consulting if needed, not the other way around. Sixth, honor your intuition even if it doesn't make logical sense. Sometimes your gut will tell you to walk away from an opportunity that looks great on paper. Sometimes it'll tell you to take a risk that feels irrational. Trust it anyway. See what happens. You're not always going to be right, but you'll learn more from trusting your gut and being wrong than from ignoring it and being right. And finally, give yourself permission to change your mind. Just because you made a decision based on intuition doesn't mean you're locked in forever. Intuition evolves as circumstances change. If something felt right 6 months ago but doesn't feel right now, that's not a failure of intuition. That's growth. Listen to what your gut is telling you today. The more you trust yourself, the clearer your intuition becomes. And the clearer your intuition becomes, the faster you can move, the more aligned your decisions are, and the more confidence you have in the direction you're building. If this resonated, drop a comment and share your story. Do you trust your intuition in business? Have you ignored a gut feeling and regretted it? I'd love to hear about it. And I invite you to join our school community to connect with other entrepreneurs who are breaking through mindset blocks and supporting and celebrating each other's growth. Link in the description. I'm Joe, and I help entrepreneurs shift inward so they can move forward. See you next time.